more and more. It's got to be, public and private actors. Sometimes you need it, infrastructure, a lot of times you need the government's involved in that. So you do need, sometimes participation of the two. But the best system is a capitalist system, but that is demand-driven, not supply-driven. And by a bunch of wackos who just want to go on yachts and jet set around the world and get PhDs and MBAs and keep up with the Joneses. I mean, this is why the trickle-down didn't work. I mean, trickle-down you do need a ruling elite. You do need, some sort of concentration of capital within some of the ruling elite, because otherwise, trying to crowd funding, you do need that concentration, but you don't need it to be predatory and exploitative like it is. And that comes from all of the ruling elite I know all over the place who are turning a blind eye to everything that's happening. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here. They'd all be sending me lawyers. And they're going to be really upset when the raping and pillaging starts in their neighborhoods. And I'm sitting there going, I told you so with Trump, and I told you so with this. And none of you people wanted to listen to me. So, let's see, I'm going to scroll down. In a traditional democracy, the liberal class functions as a safety valve. This is basically what I was saying. It makes piecemeal and incremental reform possible because the ruling elite wives are not sitting, in a well-functioning society and that one is just. The ruling elite wives are not sitting in some country club. They're out there working, like part of what I did, yeah, of course, a lot of what I did was to help my ex-husband with his career. We had all of these dinner parties and all of that stuff, and I would have to go and play the hostess and all of that. That's part of the game. And I mean, all of these people over at the IMF and UN and World Bank and everything who go for their own career rather than their spouse's career, I don't see much of the difference. The problem is you can't do both. I mean, that's why, yeah, I've been doing a lot of work, but what I need is a wife or a husband who's out there going to all of the parties and schmoozing and promoting and everything like that. That's what a publicist does. That's what an HR person does. So to look down their noses at wives who do that, it's discriminatory and it's disgusting. And it's because they're afraid that we're going to get into the game and show that we know how to do the job a hell of a lot better than these women. My God, when I first got back to the States, my brother said, oh, our HR people don't bug us too much. They're okay. I said, aren't they supposed to be there to help you rather than bug you? But no, I mean, I told one guy, I said, oh my God, Kalari, I said, oh my Lord, if you ever see your HR person coming at you with a work plan and an acronym, flee. Run as fast as you can the other way. They're crazy. They're absolutely batty. I mean, this is the typical social climbing, want to get invited to the parties, but is up in their little la-la land. I mean, really, it's of crisis proportion. You'll see later on. So, it makes piecemeal and incremental reform possible. It offers hope for change and proposes gradual steps towards greater equality. It endows the state and the mechanism of power with virtue. It also serves an attack dog, like me, that discredits radical social movements, making the liberal class a useful component within the power elite. Let's see. But the assault on the corporate state on the assault by the corporate state on the democratic state has claimed the liberal class as one of its victims. Corporate power forgot that the liberal class, when it functions, gives legitimacy to the power elite. and reducing the liberal class to courtiers or mandarins who have nothing to offer but empty rhetoric, shuts off this safety valve and forces discontent to find other outlets that often end in violence. And this is really, gets into the UN report, in-depth study on all forms of violence against women. Again, 90% of the men are committing the sexual and physical violence in societies, but it is the women with their norms that promote that violence. So see, if they just, laissez-faire, just like Marie Antoinette, and everybody remembers what happened to her. Laissez-faire, let them eat cake. How's this guy eat cake when he can't get some saltines? So here, this is, just the hypocrisy of the domestic violence and how we're going to end this.
COVID-19 pandemic is causing untold human suffering and economic devastation around the world. I recently called for an immediate global ceasefire to focus on our shared struggle to overcome the pandemic. I appealed for an end to violence everywhere now. But violence is not confined to the battlefield. For many women and girls, the threat looms largest where they should be safest, in their own homes. And so I make a new appeal today for peace at home and in homes around the world. We know lockdowns and quarantines are essential to suppressing COVID-19, but they can trap women with abusive partners. Over the past weeks, as economic and social pressures and fear have grown, we have seen a horrifying global surge in domestic violence. In some countries, the number of women calling support services has doubled.
Yeah, well, okay. It just, the hypocrisy here is incredible. The UN, because Global Expats, my organization, is to assist expatriated families abroad, which are foreigners in the United States and Americans overseas. Because I have a French and American nationality. My children are Spanish. As I say, I've lived all over the world. And there's already the Federation of American Women's Clubs overseas, which is just as bad as the IMF Family Association, UN Local Expat Spouse Association, and the World Bank Family Network. They are all covering up for the re-victimization of victims of domestic violence by court systems. They're all, I've been trying to find lawyers because I'm hauling everybody to the international courts about this under Article 6, which is Crimes Against Humanity of the Rome Statutes. And they all know about my case. I started working at the IMF Family Association in 2009. And you'll see with this thing, let's see, this is the next one. Let me play this first.
So cool we are getting out of this grotty office. New furniture, new walls, new carpet. I first heard about it, I think it was a case of what kind of office are we going to get? This gives us a bit of anxiety if at all at the end of the day we like it or not. But we can't wait to move over. Exactly, we cannot wait.
Well, you might be wondering what you see if you came into our office now. And this is pretty much it. You have boxes and boxes because we've been packing up.
The office is looking a bit of a mess. It's a mess.
Overall, it's looking pretty cluttered.
Of course, unlike what it normally used to be very tidy and welcoming.
Okay, it used to be very tidy and welcoming. This they moved, I forget, I think it was 2014 or something. So yeah, it used to be very tidy and welcoming because when I came in 2009, the place was a disaster. They had boxes. She thinks there's boxes all over the place right now. Yeah, it really would have been bad if I hadn't cleaned it up back in 2009, 2011. And I did such a good job, of course. The IMF chair at the time, Anne-Beatrix was like, oh wow, I can cash in on this one. I can go out there and get a job in the DC labor markets, promoting that I did all of this wonderful work. So that's what she did. I mean, totally illegal what she did. And then she brought in this young kid, that I was this incompetent, deposed social climbing trophy wife, who had never done anything in her life. See, the thing is that's what these ladies are. I mean, even with all of the literature and all of the research that I did when I was putting together Global Expats, even though I had been an expat my entire life, I had served on all of these boards, I still went and read all of the HR stuff, everything that, and HR is always saying, all the reports say, oh, the key to successful expatriation is the wife, the trailing spouse. So we got to help her. I'm like, okay, well, help us to help ourselves. But see, that they don't want that, and they also look at you, as these social climbing little witches, because of course that's what corporate America is filled with, or all of the corporations, and the IMF Family Association and the World Bank Family Network and UN. It's called LESA, Local Expat Spouse Association. All of them. I mean, it was disgusting what they did to me. I mean, I had gotten out of it with Spain alive. I'm worried sick about my children. And these little social climbers, they arrive in Washington. Oh, I'm helping them with everything like that. And they're getting their, nice little homes and everything like that. They're not going to think it's so funny when they find out that by sanctioning the seizure of assets of women during court, the taking away of their children, and all of that, they don't have a legal leg to stand on when it happens to them. And the fact that they would have gotten rid of me, and I mean, these women come in, there's Sheila McKenna, they have a whole, advisor with all of her networks, and she helps all of these ladies find jobs and everything like that. I mean, this is literally, how much more smoking gun proof do you guys want that the foreigners are trying to steal the jobs from the white Americans, who are much more qualified? I mean, I'm more qualified than any of these people. I could do any of these jobs, all the way up to the president of the World Bank, the managing director of the IMF. And what are they doing? No, it's this whole little protection racket that they've got going on in there. And of course, none of the we have the breakdown in the rule of law in this country is so bad. I can't find any lawyers. I mean, my God, I could break up the mafia. You'll see as we get along. So anyway, here's this girl. Listen to what she has to say. I mean, this is the typical attitude of the younger entitled generation of like I'm the professional here, and because she knew me, I mean, I trained her and everything like that, and I'm the stupid, trophy wife who should just, do everybody a favor and go and commit suicide in Sati, so nobody will have to feed her, clothe her, or house her, because that's what the game these women are playing.
Thank goodness we have a lot of help from some other volunteers here. Special thanks to all our volunteers who've come in and helped us with the move, packing up and sorting.
Right now, I guess when people come here, they just feel like, we are even allowed in this office.
One interesting thing I found when packing and moving was this book called A Word to the Wives.
Because I'm the
It was
one who
printed
saved
in
all of this.
1970. One of the chapters is husbandry. They have topics that include what husbands do for wives, general maintenance, feeding, personal maintenance, maintaining the house, social planning, the executive wife interview, husbands and other people.
What was also interesting that I found, in fact, yesterday, the association used to work hand in hand with UNICEF, so that was something dug up from the archives that we can make use of.
Check out our website, www.imffa.org, for updates and the full event calendar, which will always be at your fingertips.
Make sure you come and see us at our new location It is at 1919 Pennsylvania.
Okay, the reason why they have those archives is because when I was cleaning out, I mean, there was boxes and boxes and boxes, and I had to go through everything, you know, paper by paper by paper. It took me 3 months that all of these women were jet setting and going home and you know, schmoozing and everything like that, while I'm here, worried, sick about my children. You know, I mean, it's just the you know, you see like the stories about like the UN workers who are, you know, human trafficking and sex trafficking the children that they're supposed to be taking care of. We saw Phyllis Chesler is one of my favorite stories. I don't know why she didn't take the people to court. She was raped by her boss at the UN, but everybody convinced her that since she was white and he was black, it would be discrimination if she pursued him. You know, I mean, the rationale and the illogical thinking amongst everybody in this organization, and you know, it reinforces itself, and they just, you know, anybody challenges that, they just get rid of them, get rid of them, get rid of them, and keep that. And the thing is, these are all foreigners. They are working in the United States. I mean, they're tax exempt and all sorts of stuff. You know, this is fraud. It is absolute fraud. You know, the IMF Family Association, in fact, when I got here, when I got back to the United States and started working there, I was like, well, you know, maybe they'll be interested in this project. Anne Sinclair was the chair. Global Expats, I mean, it makes its own money. The website is a cross between Facebook, LinkedIn, TripAdvisor, and Yelp.com. I came up with the idea in 2005. All of these things are making tons and tons of money. My idea is basically the same. Of course, I'm not a techie kid. But all I needed was a techie kid to do and now, you know, I can hire a whole team and everything like that. But yet, Foursquare's, for 10 years, they didn't have a business plan or anything like that. They still got 100 million. Bezos, for Amazon, I think he did a business plan when he was crossing going from, you know, the East Coast to the West Coast or something like that. I spent months. Everybody says, oh, it's the best business plan I've ever seen. Well, and you'll see, they talk about sustainable development goals and all of that stuff. If they were really serious about that, then they'd be helping me put together my project instead of trying to get me to, you know, commit sati so they can all sit there and schmooze and cruise and have, you know, nobody raining on their little cushy parade of their university that's wasting another $330 million a year of people's money. We've already got too many universities churning out you know, MBAs and PhDs who never graduated from kindergarten, who don't understand anything that they're talking about or how to implement it. It's all just getting on podiums, blah, 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 and giving speeches and giving out awards. Well, the world goes to hell. And, you know, the conservatives, just as much as the liberals, are at fault. When I see this kind of thing, and then this young girl of, oh, you know, how it used to be. Well, it still is that way. Guess what? Times don't change that much. And actually, this you know, this is so ridiculous because actually the women, the real women who used to have it all, if you will, were the ruling elite women. I mean, they were the ones, the grand dames and everything like that. That's what we need in Washington again, is a new Emily Post. I mean, I was raised for this. However, this Emily Post is a queen bee, and I want to see everybody in court as well. I want to see some manners and some decency. And my goodness, this place is just like any frat house. It's an animal house. Remember that movie? That's exactly what this town is all about. So look at this. This is the Sati tradition. This this is the same game these women at ICD played with me.
Not just one problem, but the widows face a lot of problems. Kasturi says they had faced a lot of discrimination because of this. They were treated badly by the society and by their own families. Since men are mostly the bread earners of the family, after their death, children are forced to work too along with their mothers.
मेरे को बचपन से हमारा शादी हुआ 14 साल का शादी हुआ मेरे को 500 रुपये में क्या होता दिन बच्चे बताए 12 बजे आता है घर पे आके फिर काम पे जाता है दुकान पे ऐसा स्टेशनरी दुकान है बेकरी के फिर 10 बजे आता है रात को 3,000 4,000 तक 203 बच्चे को पढ़ा सकते नहीं तो नहीं पढ़ा सकते.
Amla Molti is a 50-year-old woman in Muddebihal Taluk in North Karnataka who lost her husband a decade ago. The loss continues to haunt her as the society ostracizes her and her family.
मेरा भाई की बीवी खाना भी नहीं देती थी, बच्चा को भी नहीं देखती थी. वो छोड़ के मेरा भाई का घर छोड़ के दूसरा गाँव चले गई. उधर कोई भी हमको नहीं देता. तुम इधर मत आना, तुम आ गया था हमारा पति तुम्हारा पर नहीं लग देता, हमारा संसार गलत हो जाता.
If we come to our place, our husbands might be attracted to it.
हमारा बच्चा को ऐसा हो जाता, इतना उम्र में ऐसा हो गया तो उसको अंदर नहीं लेना, उधर बाहर ही बैठा देना लगे. तभी खाना नहीं देता था, काम करने नहीं देता था, उसको पूछने को भी तुम जाओ बाद में आओ ऐसा. तुम अंदर नहीं लेना, उधर बाहर ही बैठा देना लगे. तभी खाना नहीं देता था, काम करने नहीं देता था, उसको पूछने को भी तुम जाओ बाद में आओ ऐसा. कितने दिए वो दूसरा बगल वाला.
According to the study done by Women Welfare of India and Osaka University, they are forced to do remarriage with his brother. Young widows are forced to commit suicide or to work for her own. Till February 2016, the number of widows in Uttar Bihar were 2,436. 20-year-old widow has to earn some money so that she can survive. Her husband died 4 years back, so there is no one to support her. Cascading effects of the discrimination against the women have a negative impact on their children as well and their future.
ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಚಂದ್ರವ್ರಿ. ನನಗೆ 3 ಮಂದಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳದಾರ, ನಾನು ಯಾರು ನೋಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ದುಡ್ದು ನಾನೇ ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದು ಸಾಲ ಕೋಲಿಯಾಗದೀನಿ. ಮಕ್ಕಳು ನೋಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಮತ್ತು 8 ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಕೂಲಿ ಮಾಡಿ ತಿಂತೀವ್ರಿ ನಾವು.
In Bihar, the literacy rate of women is 55%. Most of the older women are not educated, and after the death of their husbands, they have to face both social and financial obstacles. Sangam got married when she was just 7 years, but she stayed at her parents till she was 18 years. There is an age difference of almost 12 years.
Yeah, so, my point here being, I'm far from illiterate or anything like that. As I say, the first headhunter I met with in Yvonne Rivera, I contacted her. I said, this was Career Blazers that now I believe is Global Employment. They were officially my employer. They should have gone after the IMF Family Association for all the illegal crap. I mean, the employment agencies, they are raking in half of what you're earning. So if there are some legal issues with the employer, they should go to bat for you. And bring the lawyers on and everything like that. I'm going to be holding the employment agencies because when I was at ICD, when I was fired, I was then a contractual. I was a contractual for 2 years there, but I also was a temp for 2 years. And I mean, of course, Kate Phillips, nobody wanted, they kept on, you talk about it. I've dealt with this with my ex-husband and his family forever. I've dealt with this for so many, as I keep on saying, if I had a penny for everybody, every time somebody told me I was fat, stupid, or ugly, to try and denigrate me and because they're threatened, that they know I'm not stupid. This is why my ex-husband never wanted me working outside the home. I mean, even psychological testing shows that I'm above average intelligent. He was normal, but average. Well, I want psychological testing on all of these people and find out who's got an above average intelligence, because I think a lot of them don't even have average. So, we'll see all of this in court when I can finally find a lawyer. But, are people starting to understand, this is one huge protection racket. And it's being held together. Here I put the press, and the legal community. If the legal community would start taking cases, I know the press would follow. And if the press started writing about this, then the legal community would follow. But since both are covering it all up, we're just going to end up with violence. What did it say here? And reducing the liberal class to courtiers or mandarins who have nothing to offer but empty rhetoric shuts off the safety valve and forces discontent to find other outlets that often end in violence. And I love the thing here where she said, the Indian woman, the Sakti woman, said, no, they don't want to surround their men because the men might, take on a new wife or something like that. Phyllis Chesler even writes about that in her book, Women's Inhumanity to Women. And believe me, I'm not trying to get back into the game. I'm not looking for a husband. I'm not looking for anything except fighting for my rights, get my kids back, get my company back, and get my life back. I mean, I'm done. Oh, my Lord. I left this city for a good reason, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. So it's no big deal for me. I'm perfectly happy to sit here with my books and do all of my research and everything like that and live like a student again. But even if I, had wanted to get back into the whole ruling elite and, Washington, Northwest people and everything like that, ask any woman who's been a divorcee. Oh my Lord, you get crossed off any invite list. They don't let you anywhere near their husbands. When I was living in Bogota, I was at the gym. It was the summer. All the wives would always go home for the summer and everything like that. I mean, I wasn't going back to the States. I had a home here. And one of the guys came, and he was a French expat, and he said, "My God, you're the only one who stays around who has nothing to worry about." And I knew what he was talking about, because it's rampant. I mean, this is one of the problems. I mean, I've seen this, at the IMF and all over with the immigrant populations. I mean, even our Brazilian maid thought that she was going to end up the La Grande Dame of my house and got played by my ex-husband and then got shafted. But, we even saw that in Bogota all the time. And even in Madrid, my ex-husband's cousin, oh my God, his brother said one time, no Spanish woman would put up with him. So he's got to get an immigrant who is just glad to get out of poverty or grapple up the ladder of success and marry rich. And the place is infected with it. Absolutely infected with it. And the men are just as bad as the women. I mean, it's all just a social climbing. You look at all of the profiles of everybody. It's rags to riches. I mean, like Christine Lagarde, okay, not rags to riches, but still, middle class. She went to Holton Arms, and just the social climbing. I mean, I'm not from a wealthy family or anything like that, and definitely Foxcroft was not. I'm from Tucson, Arizona, and the Catalina foothills. I mean, not poor or by any means, but the 10% or something like that, because my father is a famous doctor. So even though we don't have the money, it's the prestige of my father and everything like that. But still, this one of the problems is that these rags to riches stories they get so, just seduced by a little bit of money. And, you don't have to give them a, yacht and all of that. They're happy. I mean, for them, $1 million house and a cushy job in Washington, where their kids, they go to, the elite schools and the taxpayers pay for it and everything. They jet set all over the world and everything like that. This is one huge prize for them. And they just want to hold on to their prize. And they don't give a damn about what's going on in the world, or what's going on right underneath their nose. I mean, everybody in ICD, when they finally get into court, I mean, yeah, people are going to start singing like a canary. And the whole department's going to look like a bunch of idiots. I mean, I'm the one who sticks my neck in the noose for everybody, and then they spend, not only do they do that to me after I leave, but then they get into U.S. election meddling to try and prevent Trump, to try and get Trump into office. I mean, Mark Lewis is a creek without a paddle, along with Charmony and Gina and everything like that. But Robert Powell, I haven't even started on him yet, and we'll get to him later. So, here's Charmony. I mean, this is, as one guy said to me, an economist in the department, he said, my God, she's the worst manager I've ever seen. Now, I wish I could say that was true, because I've actually seen worse, particularly coming back. Which is, the mismanagement in this town because of the alpha dominance feminist, managerialism, and affirmative action. The three of them. Those are the problems. That's the public policy problem.
The IMF, together with the Austrian National Bank and the Austrian Ministry of Finance, established the JVI in 1992 and has supported its activities since then. The JVI serves the member countries in the region by providing state-of-the-art technical knowledge and, combined with the experience of the IMF's 189 members, to provide policy-oriented macroeconomic training and also finance training to country officials in the region so they can better address the economic challenges that we are facing in the world today and provide for sustained and inclusive growth.
Now I know this woman has had a lot of, because I remember she was practicing for some TED Talks. I think they finally said, forget it, lady, you can't do any TED Talks. I mean, I'm a much, much better writer than I am speaker. I mean, if I have to get up and give a speech, I'm usually throwing up in the bathroom. I don't like crowds. Actually, I'm very happy to do the speeches here in online and everything like that. But, I mean, it's just, it's incredible, and what she does, this is why she has so many incompetent people within the department, like Elizabeth Elliott, her secretary. When I got there, I was